It's time for another Wildcat All In. I'm Paul Grua, and joined today by Brayden Wilson, the star defensive end for the Wildcats, a preseason All-American as well, and a returning All-Big Sky performer. Big Red, they call you.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you. We're excited to get to know you. Obviously, we've known you for the last several years here at Weber State, and fun to watch you play, but now we get to know you a little bit more as well. As we were starting this interview, we talked about your descent, your Scottish descent, which is something important to you. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So my family originates from Scotland. We're a part of the Wilson clan, and I actually have a tattoo of our emblem on me. So it is something that I hold dear to my heart. And actually, Ben Lomond Peak over in Scotland is the reason why Ben Lomond Peak in Ogden is named Ben Lomond Peak.
That's right. The Scots, home of the Scots. Absolutely. Well, you were born in Georgia, right, and lived a little bit in Florida, but you've mostly grown up here in Utah.
Yep, well, born over in Atlanta, but moved here at a pretty young age.
Growing up, did you play a lot of sports? Was football something you always thought about?
So I always wanted to play football. In my family, you played sports. It's just one thing you do. So I started out in soccer, and then I started playing football. And then I found a sport called rugby that at the time not a lot of people knew about. And I was only like 8 years old, and I was playing rugby. Played it for about 10 years before I got here.
And you didn't just play it. You were pretty good. You might be being humble here, but you were an international rugby player and nationally ranked in high school.
Yeah, so I did have my opportunity to go traveling with rugby. I got to go to a couple different countries playing it. It was a great time.
So did you think at that time, like, hey, maybe I can make rugby my career?
Actually, yes. That's what my plan was. After high school, I was going to go play rugby. And then my junior year, I got a football scholarship. And I'm like, well, this complicates things. Because my plans, I had one of three options, was to play college football, college rugby, or go and play international rugby for a team over in, it was like Ireland and France.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So what's the biggest differences? I mean, I know obviously there are obvious differences, but the biggest differences between rugby and football?
The biggest differences is I don't really get to touch the ball in football. Rugby, I got to hold on to the ball quite a bit and run, so it's a ton of fun. And rugby's a constant go, 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 where football, you go for 4 to 10 seconds, and then you get a 30, 40-second break.
Right.
So it's the constant go that rugby has versus football.
But I'm sure that rugby experience helps you in football, doesn't it?
Yes. So one of the reasons I credit being a good tackler is rugby. I constantly would be hitting, running, so it helps you with your speed, helps you with your technique, helps you with literally everything transfers over.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that's something I think, I mean, you want to play football too. We'll talk about your pro desires, but you may want to get back into rugby too.
Yeah, when I'm done with football, not once I'm done with college, when I'm done with football, I'm going to plan on going back to rugby and try to make a career out of that again.
What was your recruiting process like in football in high school?
So my junior year, I got my first offer, and it was a really cool experience because I had no idea I was even getting looked at. So it was actually Idaho who offered me first. And then all of a sudden, next thing I know, I end up getting another and then another. So I ended up with a couple scholarships, and it was a really cool experience. Being able to take the visits and stuff, like here at Weber, the visit kind of sold me to come here.
And you didn't come very far. We went to Farmington High School, grew up in Kaysville, right? So obviously you knew a whole bunch about Weber State, and your grandpa even played at Weber State.
Yeah, unfortunately I never got to meet him, but it is cool that my grandpa played here, and it is one of the small factors that kind of brought me here.
Yeah, well, what was the determining factor, I guess?
They were just coming off of 3 straight Big Sky Conference wins. They're a winning team. I knew if I was around here, I'd have a big fan base locally because I have a lot of family up here in Ogden, and not even Ogden, like northern Utah. I have a ton of family. So it was one thing that I'm like, okay, I'm going to be a part of a winning program, and I have a lot of people here to support me.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And but that's awesome when you're out there on Saturdays.
It is great to know that I have family up there.
What is it that you love about football when you're out there playing?
Oh, I love to hit people. That's my favorite part of the sport is I just get to sit there and hit people, and it's legal. Get to take out controlled aggression.
You don't get that very often legally, right?
Yeah, there's not many things you can do at this point in life where it's legal for you to hit other people.
Well, and you've become such a, with the tackles for loss and the sacks that we've talked about, I know that it's not like you're stat chasing that, but that's something that you love to look for, and I guess that's a measure of your success, right?
Yeah, so tackles for loss last season was amazing in how they came. The biggest thing I learned is if I'm just sitting there doing my job, beating up the guy in front of me, then they're going to come.
Yeah.
And one of the big things that I believe in is you play until that whistle is blown. So I am full go, 100% giving it my all until that whistle is blown. So that also does help in getting just 1 or 2 extra tackles a game, but it also helps your team.
For sure. Well, you talked a little bit about your prospects and goals. What do you want to see happen to you?
So this being my junior year, receiving some cool honors and stuff, I've been really trying to up my game to the next level and trying to make it so I can go to that next level. My goal is to make it to the NFL. I want to play in the NFL for a couple years, as long as I can. I want to play sports until my body gives out, pretty much.
Sports are a big part of your life, absolutely. Yeah. You had something exciting happen this summer off the field, right? We should better make sure we talk about this, right?
Yeah, I got married to my beautiful wife, Sierra. She's amazing, and she's helping me become a better person.
Well, yeah, how does that balance help you a little bit, being married?
Well, one thing for sure, my sleep schedule has changed. I have not been the best when it came to sleep before. I'm a big fan of playing video games. And there were some nights I was up until like 2 playing video games. I knew it wasn't good, but I had fun doing it. So for me, it was worth it. But now with my wife, she's kind of been able to reel me in there, and it's definitely helped me progress in sports too, and in life in general.
That's great. What about school? What are you studying in school?
Right now I'm in exercise science. I did recently change from microbiology. Okay. I originally wanted to do biology, but then I learned we didn't have a biology major here. So I'm like, oh, microbiology, it's got to be close. No, it's not. But then I switched to exercise science, and I'm really enjoying it.
You've been a part of Weber State here for the last several years, as we talked about. Is there a game or two that stands out to you as a favorite memory so far? There's
a couple. I mean, as far as ones that I didn't play in, there was one we had against NAU. I remember the Hail Mary. That was really cool to be a part of, and it was really fun. That was super unique. And then there's just a couple games like North Dakota, playing against North Dakota in the playoffs, getting my first playoff win underneath myself and playing a significant amount of reps in that game. It was a cool experience.
Yeah, for sure. A couple other questions then. Do you have a favorite pro sports team or pro athlete?
Sports team, I root for anything Georgia, because being born in Atlanta, I've always grown up. My dad's tried to brainwash me, rooting for any other team. He's tried to get me to root for the Broncos. I root for the Falcons. He tries to get me to root for the Gators. I root for the Bulldogs. So I've always been a fan of anything Georgia.
How about favorite athlete?
Favorite athlete? Now, it's not football, but it's Jonah Lomu. He is a professional rugby player who kind of changed the game and unfortunately ended up dying at a young age, but he was incredible. He did change the way rugby was played.
And eventually you see yourself playing rugby for quite a while, right?
Yeah. I'm again, I'm planning on playing sports until my body gives out.
There you go.
So I'm going from football to rugby. I want to play as much as I can.
I like it.
You only get so many years where your body is able to do this type of stuff. And so I just want to make the most of it.
Favorite food?
See, most days you catch me and I'll say sushi. However, recently we went down to Texas and it's been a while since I've had any crawfish. And I ended up getting some crawfish down there, and I forgot how much I just enjoy crawfish. So I'm going to go with crawfish.
Those 2 trips to the South helped you rekindle your love.
I've missed that type of food.
Do you have a dream vacation, a place you've never been?
Oh, see, this is hard because you get overall vacation and then you get hunting vacation.
Oh, that's true.
Because I'm a big hunter. For me, a nice vacation would be going to New Zealand and hunting, or going to Spain and trying to get the Ibex Grand Slam up there. Those things would be super cool to do. Yeah. But then there's also true vacation, which is probably what my wife would more so prefer. And I would probably say something like Fiji would be really cool.
Be good. Yeah. Have you been to Scotland?
I have not. So I've been to Ireland. Fortunately, I wasn't able to make it over to Scotland. It is one place that I am planning on visiting in my life. Go back to where the Wilson clan used to be.
Absolutely.
Go sightseeing.
Brayden, it's so fun to watch you out there. You've been a part of it for a few years and a couple of years still to go, obviously. But we love watching you play football, and we love having you here at Weber State. And thanks for joining us today. It's great to get to know you more.
Hey, I'm such a big fan of being here. Go Wildcats.